Just after midday, on the 8th of May, one of the accused, Linda Mitchell, walked out of the dress department of Humbard's, the well-known department store, telling the assistant that the dresses she'd been trying on were not suitable. The other accused, 31-year-old housewife Rosemary Elizabeth Clayton, had been in the same department, proclaiming that her purse had been stolen from her handbag. But at the very moment Mitchell left, Clayton found her purse had been in her coat pocket all the time, and, apologizing profusely, she left too. The assistant who served Mitchell then found that only 3 dresses were returned by Mitchell, whereas the disc system indicated that she had taken 4 into the fitting room. It is also alleged that as the 2 accused approached a minicar in Humbard's car park, a store detective followed them. By the time the detective reached them, Clayton was in the driving seat, and Mitchell threw her raincoat into the passenger seat and slammed the door. And then Clayton drove off. Believing the missing dress to be concealed under the raincoat, the detective took the number of the car and asked Mitchell to return to the manager's office. The store manager telephoned the registration number to the police, but the dress was not in the car when Clayton arrived home, and she denied that it ever had been. Clayton and Mitchell are charged with conspiring to steal and the theft of a dress worth £32, the property of Humbard Stores Limited. Electing to be tried by jury, the case is about to be heard in the Crown Court.
I swear by Almighty God, the evidence
You are Judith Mary Owens, and you live at 43A Beresford Mansions, Broadway. And you are a sales assistant in the dress department of Humbard's store at Broad Green.
Yes.
You must speak up so that we can all hear your answers, Miss Owens. Don't be afraid.
Have you ever been in a court of law before?
No, never.
Just concentrate on my questions. Forget everyone else. Now, do you see in court the person who took 4 dresses into the fitting room on that day?
Yes.
Would you point to her, please? Which of the accused? Rosemary Clayton or Linda Mitchell?
Linda Mitchell.
Would you stand, please? Thank you.
Now, would you explain, in your own words, the fitting room disc system? It's in operation, Your Honour, in many dress departments of the major stores.
Well, when you pick out dresses to try on, you get given a... I don't mean you, the customer.
I do understand. Carry on.
Well, I give her a disc for 1, or however many she has.
So, if she takes 4 garments into the fitting room?
You give her a 4 disc, yeah.
Like this, to ensure that she returns the same number of garments after she's tried them on?
Yes.
It's a simple and foolproof check, Your Honour, provided nothing untoward happens. But something did happen on May the 8th. Would you tell the court what you heard immediately Mitchell took the 4 dresses and the 4 disc into the fitting room?
Her, the other one, creating that her purse had been stolen.
The accused, Rosemary Clayton.
Yes.
Was this near the fitting room?
No, she was at accessories across the department, next to Free and Easy and Leather, but you could hear her all over.
But what did you do?
Well, we get enough pinching, as there is, and as there was only 3 of us on, there was Miss Gordon.
Yes, that's because the department was short-staffed, because it was the luncheon.
First lunches had just gone, yeah. So I went over to help her look for it.
Leaving Miss Mitchell in the fitting room?
Yes. Well, I didn't know they were working it together as mates, did I?
I object, Your Honour.
I think we need no double act. When defendants are separately represented, counsel really must come to some sort of arrangement. Miss Tate, as your client was first on the indictment, please.
Your Honour, the witness is presuming that my learned friend's client and mine were in conspiracy, which has not been proved.
Does the word mates imply conspiracy?
Working it together as mates, Your Honour, gives a prejudicial impression.
Mr. Dealey, is your objection on the same ground?
Yes, Your Honour.
Both are overruled. Mr. Harveston.
But in fact, Clayton's purse wasn't missing at all.
No, she had it in her coat pocket all the time.
And when did she make this discovery?
Just when the other one was going. She walked past, said nothing suited her, something like that.
So what did you do?
Well, I went back to pay and pack to put the dresses back on the rail.
And what did you find there?
Well, only 3 were there.
1 dress was definitely missing?
Yes, The paisley silk.
Ah, you remember that dress particularly?
I'd have liked it myself if I could have afforded it. A super red. My favourite colour at the time.
Did you look to see that it wasn't in the fitting room?
Yes, it wasn't there.
So what did you do?
Well, we've been told we're not to chase out after them, you know, when they've taken something. So...
When you suspect that they may have.
Yes. Well, I phoned security quick.
Where was Clayton while you were phoning?
Oh, she'd gone. She went as soon as she found her purse.
And you are in no doubt that Mitchell took 4 dresses into the fitting room and returned only 3?
Yes, positive.
Thank you, Miss Owens.
Miss Tate?
Miss Owens, if you've never been in a court of law before, you've never been concerned or involved with a shoplifting case previously.
Oh, I have several. Our head of department usually does them, but she was on first lunches that week.
So there's quite a lot of shoplifting goes on at Humbard's.
We have to keep our eyes open, yes.
The management encourage you to keep a sharp lookout.
Yes? Well, it's stealing, isn't it?
Do you receive special training for this?
Yes. Ring security straight away.
On the slightest suspicion?
Yes.
I see. You are certain that you didn't make a mistake, aren't you?
What sort of mistake?
Well, between Miss Mitchell returning the dresses to your counter and your replacing them on their rails, couldn't someone else have stolen the red paisley silk dress? Someone clever enough to realize that the blame would fall on my client's friend?
Well,
Wasn't it only after investigations were made that you began to see a connection between the loss of the purse and the missing dress?
yes. Well, it did seem funny. They both happened at the same time.
But isn't it true that shoplifting isn't the only crime perpetrated in your store? There's a prevalence of purse stealing and pickpocketing as well.
Oh, yes. Yes, a fair bit of both.
Then my client was perfectly justified in assuming that her purse had been stolen.
But it wasn't stolen.
But at that moment she thought it was.
If she really did think it.
She will testify that she did. Thank you.
Miss Owens, couldn't you have given Miss Mitchell a 4-disc for only 3 garments?
I've never made that mistake before.
How do you know you haven't? Mistakes are made and sometimes not noticed. We're all human. Did you actually see Miss Mitchell walk out with the red paisley dress?
She had a PVC Mac over her arm. It was under that.
That wasn't quite what I asked you. Did you see the dress underneath the mackintosh?
Oh, well, no. She was hiding it, wasn't she?
Miss Owens, it is not for you to decide whether or not a crime has been committed. You are to give evidence as to what you saw and heard, and nothing else. Now, please listen to the questions and answer them properly. Now, your answer to the last question is, I did not see the dress under the mackintosh. Is that right?
Well, yes. I mean, she had enough time to hide it in the fitting room, hadn't she?
Mr. Dealey?
No further questions, Your Honour.
That is all, Miss Owens. You may stand down.
Call Marion Holland.
Marion Holland.
Baptist. Will you take the book in your right hand and swear the oath?
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I give to this court and jury shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Your name is Marion Sylvia Holland, and you live at 51 New Crescent, Broad Green.
Yes, sir.
And you are a store detective at Humbard's branch at Broad Green.
I am, sir.
Where were you at about midday on May the 8th?
I was patrolling the ground floor of Humbard's store, sir, when I was called up on my bleeper.
And at what time were you called on your bleeper?
Oh, at about 12:15, sir. I picked up the phone on gifts and presents, and on instructions received, I proceeded to the southwest exit, where I was to intercept an accused female person described to me as carrying a white PVC Mac.
PVC?
Polyvinyl chloride, Your Honour.
Did you see this customer with the PVC Mac?
Yes, I saw both the accused, sir, proceeding from the southwest exit to a grey Mini parked in the car park. But by the time I'd caught them up, Clayton was in the driving seat and opening the passenger door. So I said to Mitchell, I am a representative of this store. Would you please accompany me to the manager's office? To which she replied, what for? And immediately threw the Mac on the passenger seat and slammed the door.
Did you see another loose garment in the car?
Definitely.
Where?
Well, it was lying on the passenger seat, almost concealed by the Mac, but I could see the dress, the red material, underneath the white Mac. So I asked Mitchell to open the door. But by this time, Clayton had started the car up and she drove away. So then I took the registration number of this vehicle and again asked Mitchell to accompany me to Mr. McLennan's office.
Have you any doubt, then, that there was a red dress under the white Macintosh on the passenger seat?
Absolutely no doubt whatsoever.
Did the Mini drive away quickly or slowly?
Oh, it went off as though a police car was off. Yes, at extreme speed, sir.
Did either of the two accused say anything to the other before the door was closed and the car drove away?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Mrs. Holland, have you any knowledge of the way Mrs. Clayton usually drives?
No, ma'am.
Then she could have been accelerating quite normally for her.
Why, it did seem fast to me.
Well, for all you know, Rosemary Clayton could have been late for an appointment. And Linda Mitchell could have been intending to do some more shopping.
Oh, but they didn't exchange a word.
Well, they could have discussed it on the way out of the store, out of your hearing.
Well, yes, they could have.
And Miss Mitchell could have decided that she didn't need her PVC Macintosh and asked Mrs. Clayton to take it home for her. Miss Mitchell happens to rent a room at the Claytons' home, you see. Thank you.
But I did see the red dress under the white Mac.
You are sure the material you saw under the Macintosh was red?
Oh, definitely red. Oh, yes, the car did go off at speed, but I swear I saw it.
Thank you. I see you wear tinted spectacles, Mrs. Holland.
With them on, my eyesight is quite perfect. 4 colours, too.
Were you wearing them that morning?
I always wear them.
Now, was this the Macintosh that you saw?
Or one very like it.
This is, in fact, the Macintosh Linda Mitchell was carrying that morning. It may surprise you to know that it has a red lining. Look. It was the red lining you saw, wasn't it, Mrs. Holland?
No, it was the dress, not the lining.
In those split seconds, can you be sure?
Yes, it was the dress I saw on the passenger seat under the Mac. A red dress. Yes, I am sure.
How long had you worked for Humbards?
3 weeks.
So, you were a trainee?
Yes.
They find themselves in this case as a result of your being so sure. In that dock could stand any woman, any housewife who might quite innocently have walked into a departmental store